6 and 5/8 minus 4 and 2/5. Again, we just don't want the answer as an improper fraction. We want it as a mixed number. 6 and 5/8 minus 4 and 2/5. Now, like we've done before, we're going to change these into improper fractions first. All right? And yeah, the denominators will not change. Still be an 8 and a 5. 8 in the first denominator and 5 in the second denominator. But applying our cycle method, I'd have 6 times 8 first here, which is 48. Then I'd add the 5 numerator there to make that 8 plus 5 is 13, carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. So that's a 53 numerator for the first fraction. Minus, let's change the 4 and 2/5 into an improper fraction. So 4 times 5 first, which is 20. And then add the 2 there, numerator, to make that 22. So that gives us a new numerator there, 22/5. Now, I probably should have mentioned this already. If I did, I really don't tire of saying it because it's pretty important that we understand that I just took those two mixed numbers, I changed the way they look, but I did not change the value of either of those two mixed numbers. I just changed the way they look. And we've seen it happen quite a bit already in this lesson. But I just want to make sure everyone understands we are changing the way this looks, but not the value. That's crucial. And if you can pretty much understand that concept, that you can change things, numbers specifically, the way they look without changing the value, then I would say that there's pretty much no limit to the amount of math that you can do. All right, so I have denominators of 8 and 5, but I need the denominators to match. So it seems like the most common way that we find, or the most preferred way, and it seems that way in this class, although only 3 people that showed up today, is that we multiply the denominators by the other fractions, right? So I take this 8 denominator and scale the second fraction by that denominator of 8. So I'd have in the denominator 5 times 8, which is 40. But I'd have to scale the numerator by 8 as well. That's 22 times 8. Let's do that multiplication. 22 times 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry the 1. 8 times 2 is 16. But add that 1 makes that 17. So 176 is my new numerator. And again, I just did the same thing. I changed the way that 22/5 looked without actually changing the value. It's pretty convenient. So I'm going to take the 5 denominator and multiply it into the other fraction as well. So I'd have 8 times 5, that's the denominator. So we see again that it forces the denominators to match, which they do. But I got to do the 53 times 5. So let's see, 53 times 5. What do we get? 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1. 5 times 5 is 25, but add the 1 makes that 26. So I have now 265 40ths minus 176 40ths. And yes, now we have common denominators, 40. So I'm going to keep that denominator the same. We're going to do some subtraction, particularly 265 because that's our first numerator, minus 176 because it is the second numerator. And yes, order does matter with subtraction. So after we do the subtraction, we'll have a new numerator, but the denominator will stay the same at 40. We need to do some subtraction, right? 265 minus 176. What do we get out of that? 5 minus 6, I got to borrow from the 6 there. It's 15 minus 6, which is 9. The 5 I'll have to borrow from the 2 to make it 15. 15 minus 7, 8. There we go. 1 minus 1, that zeroes out. And I have 89 as my difference. So that is our numerator, 89. So we look at 89 40ths now, our improper fraction. And we think, or we should think, well, what can we simplify these by? Well, 40, we've seen already. It's divisible by 2, 5, 8, 10, 20, and 40, I guess. But 89 is not divisible by any of those. How do we know it's not divisible by 2, 5, and 10? It's because in the ones place value we have a 9. not a 0, 5, or any even value. So that should be fully simplified, but we'll still check our mixed number in the end to make sure that it has been fully simplified. If not, then we'll just have to simplify the fractional part of the mixed number. Of course, as of right now, I'm going to keep the denominator the same at 40. But I've got to do some long division in order to find the missing parts of our mixed number there. So I got 40 divided by 89. 40 will not go into 8, but it will go into 89. Let's see, 40. I know I've seen this already. 40, 80, 120. That should be enough. It goes into 89 two times. 2 times 40, we can see there's the second multiple, 80. When I subtract this, I get a remainder of 9. So the quotient is 2. That's our whole value of the mixed number. And the remainder 9 is the numerator. 2 and 9/40. I see 9 is divisible by 3, but 40 is not. So that is fully simplified, just like we thought it would be. And we end up with 2 and 9/40.